Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello. Thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike. It's April 5th, 2009. Here's a quick roundup of some of the things I've been looking at. Now, the G20 meeting, of course, everyone's headline focus on the news was all about the protesters and what was going on there, and nobody really dug into what's in the G20 agreement. However, one of the stories that came out was that a bystander who was walking home from his shop fell over and passed out and eventually died of a heart attack during the protests. It appears, however, that he seems to have been pushed by the police, and there are allegations that he was struck in the head with a baton shortly before he fell down and died. The Independent Police Commission over here has received 3 witness reports that allege that Mr. Tomlinson was violently attacked as he made his way home from work. One claims he was struck on the head with a baton. One of the claimants of this, actually, I mean, there's a number of claimants. One, Anna Brainwaith, is a photographer. She's got a press photographer. She saw all of it. Additionally, there was a picture taken. They were reviewing closed-circuit television to find out what actually happened and how come this guy ended up dying. And of course, the official report that came out immediately after was that he fell over and, you know, the police had difficulty getting to him and all that stuff, when in actuality it would appear that the police were involved in his death. Now, of course, this is all headline stuff, and it's meant to, you know, shake you up and make you afraid and think and not think about things. So the Independent did a little review. The G20 A Citizen's Guide, which of course I've linked, as always, which goes into, you know, what actually happened. So what was decided about IMF, so on and so forth. Now there's a number of sections in here that go into great detail, very good detail actually. Under the subheading, how much will it all cost, about halfway down the page, the headline figure is $1.1 trillion of new cash has been committed to the IMF. In the middle of that, more pertinently, this vote of confidence in issuing new SDRs shows that a new international reserve currency is moving ever closer. Another $250 billion has been pledged to support trade through the World Bank. Early estimates suggest that as much as $5 trillion may have to be spent by the wealthier G20 nations over the next few years in propping up troubled and emerging economies. So you see, they just sort of snuck it in there. Didn't really highlight the fact that but more people are agreeing. This is going to be a momentous occasion, and who knows how the dollar will react. Now, and all the other reserve currencies that are going to make up the special drawing rights. Now, one thing I learned yesterday. I have a couple of new subscribers over in Canada, evidently. I don't know if they're actually subscribed or if they just actually watch my videos, but yeah, apparently my sister stumbled across me. Hi sis, how you doing? I'm not going to say your name. Hope things are going well with you and the kids. And my sister then pointed out to my mother what I was doing out here in YouTube land. So my mother now watches. Hi Mom, how you doing? My dad doesn't watch, he thinks I'm just wittering. Yeah, I know, Dad. But we gotta tell them somehow. Gotta get them to wake up a little. Anyway, so hi Mom, how you doing? So she's not behind the curtain, she's over in Canada. Got it out. Okay, so back to the news. Also in there, one thing, what issues were not dealt with? Perhaps the biggest issue with the G20 leaders failed to tackle is the complex problem of toxic debt. No one knows for sure, but it is estimated there is some $600 trillion worth of derivative contracts, which have been written between banks and financial institutions and exist in the shadow economy. Thank you very much, Independent, for putting that in print. I will link to the BIS, the Bank of International Settlement, and a PDF that's on there that lists off what all these derivatives are and the value of them as of 2008. Now, we'll have to wait and see what they come out with. They should be coming out with a new report soon as to what's the current state of the derivatives market. But, yeah, it's not going to be good. Now, of course, a large portion of that derivatives market is exchange transactions, so foreign exchange transactions and things like that, hedging against exchange rates and interest rates and so forth. But a large portion is these credit default swaps and these other wacky and weird financial instruments that have been created, somewhere in the order of $50 trillion. And of course all of this is far in excess of the entire world gross domestic product. It's going to be a terrible mess when that falls over. Okay, a couple of other quick stories. From the FT, US may cede to Iran's nuclear ambition. It would appear that Russia and China are pressuring the United States to let Iran do what it does. This is seen as a great victory to the president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Now, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Now, North Korea launched a satellite test yesterday. Launched what they call a satellite test. Now, what this is, ostensibly they've just put a satellite up and it's currently bleeping out revolutionary songs. But, of course, the device for lifting the satellite into space is a multi-stage missile. And can be used, multi-stage rocket, and can be used for launching missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, that could potentially reach as far as Alaska. So of course the US is quite upset about this. Russia and China again are basically saying, okay, calm down, calm down. So you can see how the whole political powers in the world are now shifting towards the east. And the US's supposed domination of the world is beginning to wane. Get ready, folks. Now, of course, another article from The Guardian about the same thing. North Korea launches long-range rocket. Goes into a little more detail about some of that. Now, over in the States, 3 police officers have been shot dead in an ambush. A gunman wearing a bulletproof vest and lying in wait opened fire on officers responding to a domestic disturbance call on Saturday. Now, so I've got linked here an article from The Telegraph, but The Guardian goes into a little more detail as to his motives behind this. I mean, basically the guy was unemployed. He'd recently been unemployed and was worried about the Obama administration's plans for banning of all assault rifles and pistols and weird wacky things like this. So, so I've included that article there. For those viewers in America, you may want to go study up on this. There are plans afoot to remove your constitutional right to bear weapons. Jose Manuel Barroso warns millions more Europeans will lose their jobs. He's coming out basically saying, okay, we can't do as much as we would like to the economy, and there are going to be more unemployed people. Tackling unemployment is my #1 priority, so says the President of the European Commission. Now, what's been happening over here in the UK, British Airways has cut some employees. Basically, the BA employees being cut are primarily in IT and infrastructure support, but it's starting to get bad. There's also been a Bombardier has also decided to fire some more people. Filtrona Filters, Jarrow, is slashing 233 jobs after a worldwide slump in the tobacco market. Apparently people are smoking less. That's probably a good thing. And Aviva is letting more people go at Norwich Union, axing 1,100 permanent staff and 590 contractors. But at least Aviva are coming out and telling people how many of the contractors they're getting rid of, unlike most other companies. And Vistion announced 506 job losses on Tuesday. Protests are continuing there. Apparently protesters have taken over the roof of the factory until their demands are met. Now, of course, 228 jobs went at Nortel Networks in Maidenhead, which isn't too far away from here. Communication company went into administration when its parent firm filed for U.S. bankruptcy protection. Now, because the parent company went into administration, the employees here in UK get no redundancy pay and none of the 90-day period and all that kind of stuff, and I expect more protests there. Now, back to the BA thing. Of course, BA suffering a huge drop in the number of passengers they're actually transporting. My flights to Paris. I mean, the planes could hold roughly 200 people. There was about 40 people on the flight back, and there was about 35 on the flight there. It just blows my mind when I get on planes nowadays, and there's nobody on them for business travel, and it's not good. So I've linked an article here from the San Francisco Chronicle. Shrinking airlines park more planes in the desert. More and more planes are being taken out of service around the world, and they're going and sitting in these in this storage area in the desert. They're put there because the dry climate helps preserve the planes, and so hopefully when all of this is done and over with, then these planes can be put back into service, but we shall indeed see. Car industry crisis deepens over here in the UK. Car sales fell by up to 30% last month, this following on from a 22% decline in new registrations in February. So in March it was down at 30%, actually 30, and January was 31%. So the economy is not picking up anytime soon over here. A couple of other job-related links. I'm not going to go into detail. But what's happening is the next thing is going to be commercial real estate, commercial lending. And we're seeing it already. The Financial Times today reporting, actually it was on Thursday, lenders target buy-to-let. Now what's happening? Wealthy borrowers are being given as little as 1 month's notice to pay off £1 million off their mortgages, as banks take ever more dramatic steps to cope with the housing downturn. What's going on? Okay, so a lot of larger investors went and bought buy-to-let properties, essentially apartments. And the value of the properties have now declined because of the declining market over here. And the banks are going and saying, okay, your property is worth less. You're going to have to pay off some of the principal on these particular mortgages. Now, at the moment, most of these people can actually afford to do this. And indeed, there's nothing wrong with these mortgages. The rents are more than covering the interest payments. There's nothing wrong with it, and it just blows my mind that the banks are starting to do this. And finally, revealed why we need a good night's sleep. And of course they stuffed in a Shakespeare reference. To sleep, perchance to dream, said Hamlet. Yes, indeed, he did. Now scientists have shown that sleep is more about getting rid of the previous day's mental rubbish than it is about dreaming. Yeah. Basically, when you sleep, if you get into the right sleep patterns, your brain actually starts removing some of your memories, the stuff that doesn't matter. This can go too far. You can actually get to the point where you lose entire days, which is not a good thing. Or you can suffer from things like sleepwalking and so forth if you don't get the proper kind of sleep. But anyway, so there you are. A little roundup of some of the news I was looking at today. I've got one more report coming up. Sorry, this one was a bit long. I was wittering. Sorry, Dad. But I've got a very important report coming right up after this that's going to blow your mind. Okay, everyone have a good day. Peace, love, understanding. Think about things. I'll be back in a minute.